starting.
No, we're live.
We're live.
We are alive.
That too. Barely.
Barely alive. We were just talking before we got on the show just how busy we are. And here we are Monday night, busy again, doing a live show. I'm Bruce Gibson, and this is...
I'm Brandi Jekyll. Welcome to the live show.
Woohoo. And we have a guest co-host of nobody.
No one.
No one joined us.
Why don't they love us? Actually, I'm pretty sure that Monday's like a prime recording night around the network, so that could be it.
True, but that's okay because we have all of our friends online joining us for the live show.
Yes.
So that is in the YouTube chat, which we already have some people saying hello to us.
Yes.
We already have a tweet to us, and if anybody wants to tweet to us, please send it to Trek FM on Twitter and use the hashtag #LiveTheEdge.
Yes. Please do. Please do. Because we'll ask for your opinions, whether you want to give them or not. We'll still ask. I mean, you don't have to give them, but if you want to, please do.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, that's my opinion. And I'm still of the opinion that opinions are neither by their nature right or wrong. They're just opinions. But, you know, like if your opinion is that, say, all humans should die, then it's probably the wrong opinion. Just a thought. I mean, there are extreme circumstances. I'm just going to stop there.
I thought Discovery was dark, but you're dark.
You are just now figuring this out? Are you kidding me?
It took me forever.
I've been leaving the breadcrumbs for so long now.
Well, I know you're a natural redhead, but you dye your hair black.
Well, technically, that was because of a show that I did where I wasn't allowed to have red hair. And there was black in it at the time. It wasn't all over the place. It was just kind of in spots. And I said, if I can't be a redhead, can I please wear a wig? And they're like, we're not doing wigs. And I said, okay, then I'm going to have to dye my hair black because you can't bleach out, you know, black hair to a lighter color in a short amount of time without your hair falling out. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So
you don't want your hair to fall out.
No, we do not want a Mila Jovovich in The Fifth Element. We don't want to do that. So half that movie, she was in a wig because the bleaching of her hair made it all fall out.
Ooh, that's not good. No. We don't want that to happen.
No, and so there are red highlights going back into it, but once you go black, it's hard to go back. So
that's what I hear.
It is true.
Okay. Well, that being said, I don't think we're here to talk about hair, even though I brought it up.
It's your fault, Bruce.
Look, I can go off on all kinds of tangents.
Oh, me too. I'm a tangenteer. Let me tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, tell me about that. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I'm kidding. We're here to talk about Star Trek Discovery, Episode 6, Lethe. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You absolutely did.
Because I saw you post today that you worked on like how to pronounce that word.
I consulted several sources to make sure that I would say it right, and it is Lethe by 5 different independent sources.
Wow. Okay. So
thorough.
Yes, you are. Well, I remember I looked it up and I heard it was Lethe, and I thought it rhymes with leafy.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep thinking leaf, but with a lisp, like a Lethe.
It's Lethe.
Lethe. So has something to do with like some Roman goddess of forgetfulness or something?
Well, sort of, but not. It's one of the 5 rivers that's bordering the realm of Hades. And that's actually Greek in origin. There might be a Roman goddess that stole the story, like the Romans did a lot. They're like, oh, we've got a bunch of crap gods, so let's get some good gods. Let's get the Greek gods and rename them all. So, yeah, it's sometimes called the River of Oblivion or the River of Forgetfulness because those who drink of its waters will forget, which makes things very interesting when you start thinking about this episode and what that might pertain to.
Interesting. So what do you think that pertains to in this episode?
My own personal opinion, and this is not based on anything that I've read because I've read absolutely nothing about this episode from anyone else. If Tyler is Voke, and if Laurel sent him off to these weird matriarchs and said he would have to give up everything, would that include his memories so that he could be a faithful portrayal of a Starfleet officer?
Could be, but I mean, I
Possibly.
almost feel like this episode is more about Lorca and then Burnham's relationship with Sarek.
I think it's a duality there. I think it refers to more than one thing in the story. So definitely has to do with Lorca, but also has to do with Sarek and Michael. And it's just, oh, it's a big tangled web, isn't it?
It is. Well, I would like to throw that question out to our listeners/viewers that are live, and I want them to tell us what they think about the title of Lethe being about forgetfulness and what they think it has to do with this episode. Let's get their opinions, right? It's not just the two of us. We don't have to have all the answers.
No, and we don't have all the answers. We're not in the writer's room.
That's why we're on the live show, because everybody else can give us the answers.
Yes, please give us the answers to the test. We need them. So we do have a comment on our YouTube page by, I'm just going to say it's Becky. She's got a lot of things attached after that. But she says, okay, I don't like Lorca now, but we had some interesting character moments. Sarek's actions and the pressure he was under shows that Vulcans don't seem to embrace IDIC very well at times. And she can't see Ash Tyler as Voke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me put it this way. The guy that is said to be playing Tyler was also in the credits of the episodes that had Voke. So take from that what you will.
Okay, here's my vocation.
Nice.
So this is what I really think that these writers are trying to take us down this path and totally throw us off. The actor who plays Tyler could be the same actor who's playing Voke, but that doesn't mean they're the same character. It doesn't mean Voke is Tyler necessarily.
This is true.
So, right. So it's like, because I felt there were so many instances in this episode where they're kind of hinting or playing along with what the audience is expected to think. And that is, oh, well, who is Tyler? Is he an agent? Is he a Klingon? Is he Voke? Because there were so many little elements in there. Like when Burnham shakes his hand, she, freezes for, that moment. And of course we see what happens after that, which we'll get into later, I'm sure. But then there's, Captain Lorca kind of quizzing him. As a matter of fact, we even received a tweet about it from at Barnabas Scott. Says, was Lorca testing Ash to see if he's a spy? And I almost feel like maybe that's what's going on, but I also feel like the writers are doing that to throw us off and make us think Tyler is a spy, but he's not.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. I still feel that the escape was suspicious, and I don't know where to go from there. I don't know. I really don't want to feel that Tyler is a spy because he's cute and I enjoy looking at him. So yes, I just objectified a man. Thank you very much. So actually,
I've been waiting for it to be me, but whatever.
Bruce, I know you, and that would just get weird. Okay, so yeah. But I think that honestly, that he is a very good actor, actually. So it's not just all about the eye candy, but I do enjoy looking at him very much. So I got no problems there. So that part of me really hopes that he's not a spy or a villain. But I still don't have enough evidence to go either way. So I'm just going to leave it as he's an unknown quantity still, but I feel like he should not have been promoted to security chief that fast. But maybe it's because Lorca is still testing him. We just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what to think anymore.
I know. I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to throw us off on so many things that we don't know what to think. It's like the whole episode where we saw the tardigrade and Saru is like, okay, let's go to our spore drive. And we're thinking, oh, it's probably Burnham down there. And nope, they threw us off. It was Stamets. Some people say, oh, I knew it was Stamets all the time. But a lot of people thought it was Burnham, like myself. I feel like they're trying to throw us off again this time. For all we know, and I'm not saying this is my theory, but who do you think is least likely to be the spy on the ship at this point? And I'm saying it's Tilly.
Oh,
What
it's
if we
always,
find out it's Tilly the whole time?
oh
Just
man,
saying. I'm just saying.
people would be
So
crushed.
would I. I would be crushed.
Yeah, I really hope that's not what they're doing. Because I would be very upset and disappointed, but maybe that's what they want. Maybe
Exactly.
maybe they want me to be upset and disappointed, and so please don't let it be Tilly. I don't want that at all.
I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying it could. Anything could
Yeah.
happen, is what I'm getting at, I guess.
Long story short, I think there are better ways to sabotage a ship than putting a spy on it, where there are a bunch of high-ranking people being very secretive and hush-hush about everything and having access to a lot of advanced technology. I think it's probably not the best idea to just throw a spy in there and go, "Hey, have at it," because if Tyler is actually, who he says he is, and he is maybe a sleeper agent and doesn't even know that he can be activated, that's one thing. But if he's an actual spy, I mean, really, he's got a tough job ahead of him. Even being security chief, there are people watching everything everybody does all the time on this boat. I mean, just come on. I don't think it's the best way to go about getting rid of Discovery.
True. Well, we have Excelsior in the chat says he, meaning Ash Tyler, is going to be the love interest of Burnham, and then she will have to face being in love with a Klingon who killed her captain.
Hmm.
That's kind of heavy.
Well, she is the person who killed his mentor.
Ooh, and then he has to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love this little love story here. You killed my mentor. You killed my captain. It's almost like Reese's peanut butter cup. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. You got your peanut butter on my chocolate.
You got your Vogue in my ash. You got your ash in my Vogue. Oh no. Oh, that's we're degenerating right there. Now I'm never gonna get that out of my head. Thanks a lot, Bruce. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's great. It's great.
Tilly is the spy. There, I put that back in.
Okay, Tilly's the spy. Yeah, totally the spy.
No, that's it. I picked up on that too. That Ash Tyler and Michael Burnham could be a couple. They even hinted at that at one point. Someone said about them being a couple, didn't they? In the episode, I can't remember who said that.
I can't remember either. And
is it Stamets?
It could be. It could be because Stamets was really tripped out in this episode. He had been on the spores too much, I think.
Oh my gosh, he's doing those mushrooms.
Oh yeah. He's just, everything was groovy and cool, man. Just, oh wow. Not that I didn't enjoy him that way, but it was just so out of character. And I think there were people probably complaining about that. And I thought, yeah, but remember how he was right after the first time he used the spore drive? And think of repeated exposure, how that would affect him. Or maybe we've got mirror Stamets. Who knows? But I think it was purposely out of character because of his exposure to the mycelium. So that's my personal opinion, and I'm standing by it.
I agree with you on that. I don't think he's from the mirror universe, even though in that past episode we saw his reflection still in the mirror after he walked away. I don't know what that means, though. I don't think I personally don't think that's the mirror universe, but I don't know why. If he's high on mushrooms, why are we like feeling the same way when we see the mirror.
Well, see, and again, that's this whole thing with people thinking that there's only one mirror universe. But if you start going down to the quantum level, there are infinite universes. Infinite. Every word coming out of my mouth right now is creating one universe, where in another reality, I'm saying something completely different, and that's creating another reality. And there's another reality over here, and over here, and over here. And it's just endless. Every choice we make ourselves creates a different reality somewhere else. Yes, I know your brain's going to explode, but thinking that there's just one mirror universe, no, there's an infinite number.
Well, I think in Star Trek, when we say mirror universe, we're not necessarily meaning just any alternate universe. We're talking about the mirror universe from Mirror Mirror episode, where
Well,
they're all like evil and such. And I agree. Even if that universe, there's multiples of those. So you're
yeah,
right.
but it's the chances of coming in contact with that particular mirror universe again are really infinitesimal. The circumstances would
Yes.
have to be really. I sorry, I know. Well, I don't know a ton about quantum physics, but I know enough to just not buy that it's the same mirror universe every time.
See, I like this discussion because now I'm those who don't know, I'm on a show called Literary Treks where we talk about the Star Trek books and comics, and there's many books and comics that have delved into the mirror universe, but they address the mirror universe in different ways. So they're not all connected. The continuity isn't there between all of them. And I used to think, well, that's because they're probably delving into another mirror universe and not the mirror universe for the reasons you just said. Because if you're going to go into another universe, you may not be getting the exact one you went to last time.
I agree. And the only thing that is frustrating there is because they had the two mirror universe episodes in the original series where Kirk actually does get back into that original universe in which he had convinced Spock to make some changes, and now those changes weren't going as well as thought. And anyway, and it leads to a lot of things, including the comic book Mirror Broken series. So,
Yes.
which I love, 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 love. I love that. Just the artwork just blows me away, and it's just enjoying that so much. Um, so, but the chances, the chances of Kirk landing in that same universe both times are so, it's just the chances are so small. But I didn't know that when I was a kid or a teenager or even in my 20s. So sometimes ignorance is bliss.
It is. That's again why we're doing the live show. So So Neostar 9 in the chat says, I think using the spore drive is producing a high in stamets. They pretty much say so. And I thought that was really what was happening at first, but rewatching it, because I did watch it a second time, it really stood out even more to me the way Burnham and Lorca are just looking at him like, what is wrong with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but then again, the spores, I think, because of the way that they can move through time and space, and what Stamets was talking about a long time ago, actually, when they were on their way to the Glen to see what had happened there. And he starts talking about quantum physics. And so things can exist on different quantum levels. And it seems like these mycelium spores spread throughout the universe are such things. So it is possible that while you're traveling with the spores, you might be going in and out of other realities and not even know it. Anyway, sorry. I'm going to stop with the quantum stuff because
No, that's good.
I'm going to make people just their heads are going to explode, and we don't want that.
Well, I think that's what we do, and was as Star Trek fans. This is the kind of stuff we think about, and time. It's like it makes my head hurt. Time travel.
Yeah, it's don't even get me started on time travel, because if you think about time as a linear thing, then that actually is the first downfall, because time is not linear. Time is a construct of man. And then you start bringing in quantum physics again, and we're not going to go back there.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I think it's time to look into the chat because we got some more comments. You want to pick something in here?
Yes. Our friend Excelsior says, if Lorca is this way in the regular universe, what will he be like in the mirror universe? Eek! Well, we just don't know, do we?
You'll probably be like Stamets on spores.
She's like, hey man, groovy. You got the spore drive working? That's awesome, man. Maybe we'll do a little battle drill later. Nah, let's not. We're fine. It's all good.
I don't think I want to see that kind of Lorca.
I don't either.
I like this Lorca. You know, Lorca is really growing on me. It's not that I didn't like him the first time, but I'm really liking him as we go along. Like a lot. Like, I'm not saying he's my favorite captain at this point, but I just like the fact that he's just so determined and he's got an edge to him, and there's just something about him. Like there's so much more about him we don't know, and that's what I really like about him. And he's getting a lot of screen time. He's getting more than I thought, because as they positioned the show, they're saying, oh, the lead will be this Burnham character that won't be the captain, and the captain isn't the lead of the show, but he's had quite a bit to do. So he seems like maybe not the lead, but definitely a big primary character.
I agree. And I think that his story is very important to the overall story of Discovery, because as we find out in this episode, he's not okay. Anyone who is surprised by that, raise your hand. Nobody? Alrighty then. So it's really...
Now, do you think he's not okay because he's been like that, or is it because of what happened in the prison when the Klingon ship? Because my wife thinks he's like that because of the prison.
I don't think so. I think because he had that conversation with Cornwell about how, you know, he'd been through terrible things, and every time he'd been cleared for duty and passed his psych tests, his psych evaluations, because he knows how to manipulate them. And she figured that out, especially when, she was touching this scar on his back and woke him up, and suddenly he's choking her with a phaser at her face.
Mm-hmm.
That's not somebody who's okay.
No,
it's not.
No.
So, and I knew that there would be dark things in Lorca's past. And I thought when she was doing that, she was looking at his back, and I'm like, don't touch him. Oh, don't touch him. Oh, you touched him. Oh, it's all gone to hell now. So it's, it's obvious that he has, we used to call it shell shock, which actually made it sound much more horrible than post-traumatic stress disorder. But he definitely has that. He has it, and he doesn't feel that that is a detriment to his command. He thinks he knows what needs to get done, and he's the only person who can do it. And I think even when he was begging for Cornwell to let him keep Discovery, I think even then he was being manipulative. I don't think that was the real Lorca.
Mm-hmm. Well, even Becky says in the chat that Lorca trusts no one 100% of the time.
Yep, that's pretty true. So I feel like every move that he makes, like putting Ash Tyler in charge of security, I think that was very calculated. So I just don't know. But then at the same time, when Michael feels that Sarek has been injured and is dying, and she begs Lorca to help her to rescue him, he's just like, okay, let's do this. No contacting Starfleet and saying, hey, we're going to do this. Just let's go. And at the end...
Yes, go on. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. It's just at the end, he explains that, he wants his crew to function well together, and that she was an important part of that, and then offers her the position of science specialist. And I still think that he sees qualities in Michael that he himself has, and that is why he can seem very protective of her sometimes. I feel like he is grooming her for something.
Like Captain Giorgio did.
Yes.
Poor Saru. He's going to get really upset after a while.
I don't know that he could ever get around the whole court-martial thing because that is a Starfleet directorate, you know, he can't just overturn that. But I think he can find ways around it, behind it, under it, etc., to give her more authority.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll see in upcoming episodes, but I really feel like he is particularly grooming her for things unknown at this point.
I agree. I'm just looking here in the chat. Everybody's saying stuff. They're
So much.
They're talking as much as we are.
I know. We have so many comments and I can't
Like
keep up.
Giorgio in the Mirror Universe. That would be interesting.
Interesting. Oh, and here's an interesting one. Punk rock zoologist says, I really think / hope Ash Tyler is a red herring, and Lorca is the one who the Klingons got to. Maybe they messed with his eyes like the Duras sisters did to Geordi's visor in Generations.
Mm-hmm. I can see
Strokey
that.
beard. Strokey beard.
All right, so everybody's affected. See, this is what I think they're trying to do. They're going to set it up. We're second guessing every character on the ship.
Yep. Yes, indeed. The only person I'm really not second guessing is Michael, because I pretty much know where she's coming from. There's no real secrets there for her. So, there are some people I think who are saying that at the end, the last final shot of Lorca staring into one of the windows in his quarter, he sleeps in a quarter. He gets really small, sleeps in that quarter. So sorry. Anyway, when he's looking out the window, and you can actually see Lorca's reflection in the window. And I think there are some people who are saying that maybe that's the good Lorca in the reflection, and now what we have is the mirror Lorca with the phaser stuck down the back of his pants. So I don't know. I don't think that that's a mirror Lorca. I think this is just the Lorca that we've had all along, personally.
I don't know. That's a pretty interesting theory. Reflections and mirrors may be playing a part in every episode. We see somebody looking at a reflection, and that really is the window into another universe. And maybe this is a mirror Lorca, or maybe this. I was going to say maybe the universe we're in now is a mirror universe, but that wouldn't make any sense. That wouldn't make sense.
I don't know. The writers know.
I know.
We just have to sit patiently and wait for the next episode, which is fine. It's totally fine.
I guess so. I guess that's what they really want us to do, is just watch each episode as they come out. And then
yeah. Well, no, I like that. I like the fact that they did not release all of them at once, so that we have time to ruminate and process and discuss and figure out what we really think and feel about the story as it progresses. Because if it was just all this at once, we all would have binged it by now.
Yes.
We would have watched all 15 episodes in like 2 days.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that this weekend. I thought, if this all dropped at once, I would definitely watch it all weekend. And then there would be an episode like this of podcast where we would talk about it, and then you're done. I mean, what's the fun in that? And then I'd be sitting here going like, are we going to get another season of Discovery? Which, by the way, we did get an announcement today. Season 2 is coming.
Yes, I saw that. So many people were retweeting it, including darling Anthony Rapp. He is such a fun follow. Jason Isaacs is like the best follow on Twitter. I love watching him take down trolls. I probably said that last week, but it is an amazing thing to watch. It is glorious. I love that man. He is delightful to no end.
But is it Jason Isaacs of our universe or the mirror universe?
Now that is an excellent question.
I think it's interesting how much we're talking about mirror universe when that really isn't much of a subject in this episode at all. But
it really isn't.
It's part of the series.
But they're still just giving us all of these little things, and it's the little things that we're paying a lot of attention to because we're all trying to figure it all out. And there's a part of me that's just like, stop thinking so hard about it and just let it unfold before you. Yeah, and Punk Rock Zoologist also says that Jason Isaacs is the best on Twitter, absolute king of shutting down the trolls. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. He is Wow. So anyway,
He is wow.
he is wow.
I'm I'm looking here. So Excelsior says, why is he so protective of Burnham? Why does he have more plans for her? More plans for her.
More plans, all of the plans. Well, it's like I said before, he's grooming her for something. Otherwise, he wouldn't have engineered this uh, situation that got her on board the ship. So he saw something in her before she even knew who he was, and she was brought there by him. Of that, I have absolutely no doubt that she was brought there by him. To what end, I don't know yet, but I do believe that he has very, very big plans for her and is uh what's the word I'm looking for here? He's was testing her a bit at first, and now he's seen her perform, and especially after the whole thing with Sarek, and he showed his faith in her by just trusting her and going to rescue Sarek. And so now he's waiting for her to put that same trust in him. And she even says, that she was, glad. And what was the word that she used, though? Honored? No, it wasn't honored. Grateful. I think it was grateful
Yes, that's
that
it.
she was able to serve with a captain like him. And for just a little second, you see this look of almost guilt in his eyes because Jason
Yeah.
Isaacs is a master. And yeah, yeah, because he did some bad things this episode. He did some bad things.
Well, it's great because I think we have a captain that's doing bad things and we have an admiral that's not. It's usually the other way around. Or do you think the Admiral Cornwell? I mean, I don't think she's a bad admiral
No, she's
at all.
definitely not a bad admiral. I would not classify her as such at all. But if she were a bad admiral, having a psychiatrist be a bad admiral is about as good as you can do because she knows the best way to present a totally sane face and be a psychopath inside. But I really don't think that's what she's doing. I think that she honestly has everybody's best interests at heart. And but the thing is, Lorca knows how to manipulate her.
Yep.
So,
And I keep seeing comments about PTSD for Lorca.
oh, he absolutely has PTSD. I have no doubt of that. It was very obvious in this episode when she accidentally woke him up. That is not the sign of a balanced person.
Yeah. Speaking of in Twitter, we have at Holbach R. He says, and was the Admiral's ship a Constitution class? It was only referred to as a cruiser and never seen on screen. And then Barnabas Scott replies, possibly, but the Connies were heavy cruisers. So the Constitution classes were cruisers, heavy cruisers.
Mm-hmm.
So, they mention the Constitution class earlier in the episode. Berna mentions it to Tilly, and she mentions Enterprise.
She does, yes. Name drop.
Yes. So, but also Holback R says, Lorca, can we talk about how he betted the Admiral and then tried to get her knocked off in a suicide mission?
Yeah.
Do you think he sent her on that mission to get rid of her?
Absolutely, I do.
Or do you,
Absolutely,
do you think maybe to get rid of her to get her off the ship, but did he really think she was going to get kidnapped?
Yep. I 100% believe that he did. Now, here's the thing. I don't think Lorca is evil, but sometimes good people do bad things. So I am not in the Lorca is evil camp because I still really like him and I still want to see where this goes.
Well, Neostar 9 agrees. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he saw a threat to his command and he did what he had to do to get rid of that threat. And I think he knows from his experience with Klingons that the whole renegade houses wanting to meet and talk peace was a total ruse. I think he knew that from the start. I thought that was a ruse from the start. I'm like, no, there's no way. There is no way, especially with someone as enigmatic as Cole, who's now, basically the head of the whole thing. He's called himself general and whatnot. Maybe he actually is a general. I don't know. But yeah, I just feel like no one is going to backstab that guy, because even if they wanted to, the retribution would be severe. So I think he's got all of the Klingons in the palm of his hand, except for L'Rell and Vogue. And I don't think, I never thought for a second that peace meeting was actually going to be peaceful.
No, even I was watching it this evening with my wife, and when Admiral Cornwell was getting to get on the shuttle to head out, she's like, well, she's dead. She's going to get killed. And I was thinking the same thing. Of course, she didn't get killed. Her security officers did. But they're keeping her around.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually what I thought would happen, because I too at first said, oh, she's dead. And then I thought, no, what would be the point of that? There would be no point in creating this ruse to get a high-ranking official there if they were just going to kill them. There's no point to that. You kill them, they become a martyr, but you capture them, they become a prisoner of war. Ooh. That's a whole different ballgame.
And what if she returns and she's acting as bad as Lorca? Then we might start to think maybe the Klingons are doing something to these people.
Well, they obviously are doing something to these people, but I don't know if it goes beyond just your general torture. So.
And Harry Mudd was not in this episode, but
he will be next week.
He will be. I hope we didn't spoil something for everybody, but we did see a glimpse that he will be back next week.
Oh, come on. Everybody knew he was going to come back at some point.
We did. Yeah, we know he's in multiple episodes.
Yeah. So, and again, there's still people crying out about how it was inhuman of Lorca to leave Harry Mudd on that ship. And I'm like, did you not watch the original series? Because Kirk also abandons Harry Mudd. It's not like that's an unknown quantity in Star Trek, guys.
Harry Mudd was even in the animated series.
Yes, unfortunately.
And he has a bunch of novels too. Anyway, I can talk about novels too. Well, Todd Waters says, I don't think Lorca wanted her dead. This was to stall things. He is going to lose his ship. Now Starfleet will have to ask him to save her. I don't think he wants her dead either, but he's sure taking a chance.
No,
Klingons.
I totally agree. I still say 100% he knew he was sending her into a trap. But I also think that he believed that they would not kill her, that they did want some kind of high-ranking official, because Sarek is a pretty big damn deal. Oh, excuse my language. I said the D word. Oh, no.
Okay. This is TV 14.
Okay. So I think that Todd, you're probably right. It was a stall tactic. And also the whole thing about not going after her unless Starfleet said so was a way for him to do everything by the book and in a way make her possibly owe him. So she would be less inclined to take his ship away. I don't know what his end game is there. So, but it seems to me like it wasn't about him not wanting to mount a rescue so much as he wanted everything to be on record as far as that rescue, so that people didn't accuse him of, cowboy diplomacy, which really is not diplomacy at all. It's just going in there and shooting everything up and rescuing the gal. Oh, that's a little misogynist, but that's okay because she's an admiral and she outranks him.
That's true. She does. It's so funny when we're all this speculation. It's like we've never had this much speculation in a Star Trek series before. I mean, if any other past episode, I mean, there's some, of course, but it's like we would watch an episode and we'd be sitting here talking about the planet they visited and what the message of the episode was. And, Data or T'Pol or whoever, is trying to find their human emotions or something like that. Yeah. And it's like, we're like, really, it's getting more complicated as we go along. the way the show is set up.
It is. It is. And it's interesting because I felt like the whole thing with rescuing Sarek was actually the B plot and that Lorca was the A plot, which is kind of weird. Because I think if you balance the two, the whole Michael Sarek thing has more screen time, but in some ways was less important than what we found out about Lorca. It's just my personal opinion. But I think we really ought to talk about the whole Michael and Sarek thing and what she discovered.
Yes.
Discovered, ha ha.
Oh, what a discovery.
What a discovery she made. Yes, indeed. And actually, I kind of saw that coming a million miles away because I know the history of Spock rejecting the Vulcan Expeditionary Group and entering Starfleet against his father's wishes. So when he was talking in his memory, when he was talking to Michael and explaining that she had not been accepted into the group, I just thought, oh, they made him choose. They made him choose, and
that was so awesome.
And then Spock rejected it, and his choice meant nothing. Oh, yes. Man.
Wasn't that awesome? That
yes.
changes so much now. So anytime we see the relationship in the original series and the movies between Spock and Sarek, we're going to think about that.
We are absolutely going to think about that. And that just... I had to explain to my husband, because he is not as up on all of the original series history as I am. And granted, I'm not an expert. I'm not saying I'm an expert because I'm not. But that was one thing that was really big because it wasn't until Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, that Sarek says to Spock, as I recall, I opposed your joining Starfleet. And, basically says that he was mistaken and that his crewmates were people of good character. And I thought, well, that's about as much an admission of making a mistake as anyone ever could. But still, he never explained that whole situation to Spock.
Well, neither did Michael.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't for her to say. It wasn't her story to tell. She knew what happened to her in that story. But she had no right to go and tell Spock any of that because that was Sarek's thing to tell, which he never did. Never did.
No. Spock may never know.
Yeah, well, unless they write some retcon book about it, he probably never knew, which is sad.
It is. And one thing I liked about this episode, if anybody listened to Literary Treks when we had author David Mack on, who wrote Desperate Hours, the Discovery novel, I was talking on the show about Sarek raising a human child and a half Vulcan, half human in Spock. And I said, he's supportive of Burnham joining the Academy, yet when Spock is ready to join, he's against it. I was like, I feel like he's playing these two against each other, and he's not making any logical sense in the way he's raising these kids. And the author, David Mack, says, just hold on. Answers are coming. Just wait for the episodes. I'm not going to speculate. I know what's coming. And I was like, okay, we're going to get answers to this. We're going to get answers. I wonder when. And here it is. And I'm like, oh, this is a doozy. I love this. Because I was of the impression, which I think most fans were, that Sarek just had a problem with Starfleet and he didn't want Spock to join Starfleet, which in a lot of ways didn't make sense because Sarek is an ambassador on Earth and he is involved with Starfleet officers and he works with Starfleet in certain capacities. And for him to be have an objection to his son joining Starfleet, never really, I'm not going to say it didn't make sense, but I just thought that was seems really odd to me. I think he would be open to his son joining Starfleet. And then when we get to this series and he supports Burnham joining Starfleet, he actually suggests she join Starfleet. I was like, okay, this isn't even making any sense about Sarek. And now it totally makes sense.
It absolutely does.
And it took 50 years to find this out. Dang it.
It was a heartbreaker, to be sure. I mean, I'm the kind of person that I react very emotionally to everything. And so when that happened, I had my hands against my face, and I was just like, oh no, he threw away Michael's future for nothing. Oh no. And I could so easily put myself in his place and feel the utter shame that he has to feel, that Michael said, to his face, that he feels, even though he denied remembering anything about the mind meld. So,
He
and
was very Lethe.
he was very Lethe. I'm sure he remembered every second of that, but he was not ready to admit his shame to her face.
Yes.
And I can understand that. And
She took it well.
she did take it well, because she had figured out by that point that she is never going to get what she wants from him. And she actually says that in a conversation with Tyler at the end of the episode. And I feel I feel like you have learned more than Sarek has about how to balance this relationship, because now you're disappointed, yes, but now you're never going to get from him what you want. And I love that she called him father before she walked away. Oh, I loved that. It was like that extra final, I know what you did sort of moment. Father, just putting the cap on it. So, what a little plot point there. It took my breath away when I realized what was going on. For sure that my intuition was right about why he didn't want her to see what happened. So yeah, just it broke my heart in the best way. I know that's a weird thing to say, but it just, when something can move me emotionally in that way, it's a good thing. You've done your job right, storytellers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Neo Star 9 in the chat says, love the entire set of scenes. I was really feeling for Michael there. I've been in a situation where something disappointing happened. Emotions hit hard, and I simply didn't want to be there anymore.
Yep, I can understand that. I've been through some things that are similar to that. And when something like that happens, I think the first instinct is to just close off and just get through whatever you have to get through, so that maybe at a later time you can take all that stuff out and examine it and figure out how you truly feel about it and what you're going to do about it and all those things. But sometimes you're not in a position where you can do that. And so you just have to close off and just remove yourself from the situation if you can.
And I feel like Burnham's been carrying this burden on her this whole time with Sarek. And now I feel she's been released. I think we're going to get a more lighthearted, happier Burnham. I feel like we saw that at the end of the episode. It's almost like, okay, I understand things. I can move past this now.
Exactly.
And maybe accept her humanity even more than she had in the past. Because I almost feel as if she would feel that she needs to try harder to be more Vulcan-like, and now she's got permission that she doesn't have to. She can just be her.
Yeah, she knows now that she was good enough.
Right.
That she had passed the tests, and that she could have had a place with the Vulcan Expeditionary Group. And it wasn't her fault that she didn't. She couldn't, she had no choice in that matter. And even if she had known that's what they had said, she still probably wouldn't have had a choice, because when it comes right down to it, if it comes down to a choice between your biological son and your adoptive daughter, that is a terrible choice to make. And Sarek made what he thought was the most logical choice, which is to choose his biological son.
Well, do you think he chose his biological son, or did he choose him because he's part Vulcan?
Well, that's why, too, is because he's part Vulcan. But at the same time, he is the one who was always pressing for Vulcans to interact with humans and to see them and live with them as equals. Mm-hmm. And that has a great deal to do with the fact that he chose a human wife. And even in Next Generation, after Amanda had passed away, who was his second wife? Another human.
Yep.
So, or third wife. I guess, really, because there was that Vulcan princess thing.
Yes. I don't know that she could have been his fourth or fifth wife. I mean,
his 10th wife.
I don't know how many wives he's got going.
Anyway, but yeah, when he had a choice after Amanda passed away, he chose another human. So that says a lot about what he truly feels about the human race, I think. And the thing is, that's not an accepted view on Vulcan, and which is so interesting because, like, you talk about infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and yet you're so freaking xenophobic.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Klingons. Oh, so much xenophobia going on here.
It's highly illogical.
It is highly illogical. Highly illogical.
Sarek is a very interesting character to me because, I mean, we've had different writers of Sarek in the different series and the movies, and I'm thinking to Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Yes, that movie does exist for some of you who are listening. And yeah, when the Spock is born, Sarek holds Spock for the first time and says, "So human," but not in a positive way, which I think is amazing that he would marry a human woman. Of course, now we know adopt a human daughter, yet seem to have an issue that his son, who's now born, is half human. And maybe that's not what he means. I don't know.
It could be. It is difficult to determine exactly what Sarek was thinking or feeling because he is still an enigma, I feel. Even to this day, even after his character passed away in the Next Generation storylines, I still feel like there's so much we don't know about him.
Well, and the scene I'm talking about in Star Trek V is really a memory that's being pulled from Spock's mind. Spock's not going to remember what his father said when Spock was born. I mean, I don't remember what my parents said when I was born. I'm sure they said, "What? That's our son?" I don't know. No, I don't know. But more of a reflection of Spock thinking Sarek doesn't accept the fact that I'm half human, and maybe he really doesn't understand what his father really thinks of him and why. And we're finding that out more now.
Yeah.
Of certain events.
Oh, it's so the consequences of this whole situation are so far reaching that I can't even permeate all the different variables. Permutate, I meant to say. Not permeate. Whew, I know my words, really, I do. There is another comment on our YouTube chat by Alexandra Sandu who says, in a different review, someone said that Sarek was in a difficult position with the rest of the Vulcans who were suspecting him already, so choosing Michael would make things worse.
Yeah.
That is possible. We'll never know for sure why, because we probably will never see the rest of that memory unless the chickens come home to roost, as they say, and Michael finally gets it out of him. But the thing that upset her the most was that he let her believe that she had failed him.
Yeah, but again, I think she took that very well. I mean, I really expected her to say, "How dare you?" and just like kind of go off on him, but she was just more of an understanding, like, "You chose Spock and you kept this from me, but okay." Like, and I don't want to make it sound like she accepted it so readily, but she just handled it very well. She put him in his place. But
she did, and that's I think was the goal, was to make him feel ashamed. And she did, because I'm sure he was expecting her to have a very emotional outburst about the whole thing. And she just turned on her Vulcan side and just went to town on him in a very logical way. So well done, Michael. Well done.
Well done.
What an episode we had.
I think it was a great episode. The only issues I have, and we're almost here at the end of the show, so I'm going to bring this up now.
Mm-hmm.
Brandi, on past episodes, you've complained that you had issues with CBS All Access, and I'm always said, I haven't. Well, this time, oh my goodness, yes, I did. I could not watch the episode last night. It would not work. Did you have any issues?
I had zero issues. I didn't even have the tiniest skip, but we started watching it on my laptop with episode 5. And it was, and I'm watching it as soon as it drops, which is at 6:30 my time. So I'm on there with everybody else who's coming in. And on my laptop, I haven't had any issues. With the apps, I've had nothing but issues. So for the first time, everybody is complaining about it, and I'm going, well, welcome to what my world was like for the first 3 weeks of Discovery.
I know when it was happening to me, I kept thinking of you. I'm like, now I know what Brandi was going through. But you're right. I've read a lot of comments about it. It seems that when you're dealing with the apps, in this case, the apps last night weren't working well. But if you went and streamed it from their website, there didn't seem to be issues. That's what I've been hearing around the block. Now, there was quite a bit of issues. Variety actually reported on it. I've got the article pulled up here. It says
Wow.
CBS All Access suffers streaming glitches in middle of Star Trek Discovery. And they said about 5% of CBS All Access users had the problems. I think it's more than 5% because I know a lot of people that I know, not just random strangers, but I know people who were having a lot of issues with it last night. But I did hear they got it resolved late into the night. I was able to watch it when I got up this morning, and then I watched it later when I got home from work. So, the thing I want to say, I've read some comments where people were saying like CBS All Access sucks. I'm paying for this and it doesn't even work right. It's still a fairly new service, and it's got more subscribers to it than it's ever had before. And there's no way you can test out a couple million customers to make sure you get all the bugs worked out. And the only way you're going to get the bugs worked out is if you launch it and actually have 2 billion customers. And I know Akamai Technologies, apparently it was something on their end with the CDN. I work with Akamai. I know sometimes they have issues sometimes, but I think they're working out the glitches. I think we'll see how it goes next Sunday. So just, be patient. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. But then at the same time, I feel like, and I've said this before, that they knew that this whole thing was coming. And they have had plenty of time to prepare, to have enough servers, to make sure everything streams smoothly, to make sure the apps work correctly, etc. I understand, though, that there are situations that you just don't know what problems you have until you get into them. But what I think about the most is when my husband and I went and saw Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan in theaters, a few weeks ago. Gosh, it's been so long already. It seems like just a few weeks ago.
I saw it in the theater too.
Yeah. And see, I'd never seen it in the theater. I only saw it on home video when I was a kid. But for the first 10 minutes of the movie, the house lights were still up.
Oh.
And people complained, of course, can you get someone to turn the house lights down? And finally they got them turned down, and the entire audience was like, yes. And at the end, they had an usher come in and give all of us passes. All of us got a free pass to another movie of our choice. Of course, they have restrictions on when you can use those passes, but they still had some sort of compensation because they did not provide the proper movie-going experience that they should have. So CBS, you want to refund me for the first month that you charged me where I couldn't freaking watch anything through your apps? No, you probably don't. But it feels to me like there should be a greater response and some kind of compensation for paying customers, because that's what we are. We are paying customers.
In defense of CBS, I think one of the problems with that differs from the movie theater experience is they know who's in the theater. Not every CBS All Access customers were watching last night. So how do you know who to reimburse and who not?
Well, if you set up a freaking phone line that people can call, I think there are a lot of people having a problem. But but in any case, I will say this, that when I emailed them with the troubles that I was having with the apps, they actually responded to me within 48 hours. And I was actually impressed by that, because there have been times where I've sent off an email for some kind of customer service problem, and a week or 2 weeks goes by before I get any kind of response. But they were back with me. They didn't tell me anything I wanted to hear, but it's a known problem and we're working on it. But, at least they are paying attention to those emails and messages that they're getting. So there is that. I know that they're not able to actually compensate everyone, but it's a lovely thought.
Yeah, well, maybe they can think of something. Yeah, I don't know, but uh, believe me, they're going to want to get all this worked out because they don't want to lose us.
No, they do not, because if everyone collectively decided to stop watching Discovery because of the streaming issues, then there's bye-bye CBS All Access.
Yes. When Neo Star 9 says always double or triple any official numbers given out is my stance in situations like this. So if that's the case, instead of 5%, it's probably 10 to 15%.
Right. And
that's getting closer. I still think it's more than that, though.
I agree, because just seeing everybody complaining both on Facebook and Twitter, and people I didn't even know, and people were retweeting it and such, I just thought, at first I thought, yeah, now you know how I felt, ha ha. And then,
I did think that.
and then I thought, no, that's a horrible thing to have to go through, because I know how that feels and it's not cool. So I was actually feeling bad for everybody. After my first initial ha ha, I felt bad.
Yes. Well, and Punk Rock Zoologist says everything has so far been good on Netflix in Australia, but I'm not watching it at peak time. Hopefully CBS adopts some of the Netflix features to get it working better for the USA folks. Yes, I hope so too. But again, I think let's just say there's other companies involved like Akamai and others behind that it may not be CBS. It's the companies that they're using that might have an issue that something happened. And I'm not trying to blame the other companies. I'm just saying,
no.
It's like when you buy a car, if the tire goes flat, do you blame the manufacturers of the car or the tire manufacturer?
Well, it depends on why the tire went flat.
True. They should give you a free ticket to a movie.
Yeah, they should actually, because I spend a lot of money on that car. And then to go to the movies on top of that, I'm broke now because I bought that car. Okay, I'm really going too far into that whole scenario.
That's true. Well, Brandi, when you're not jogging on the Discovery, where can people find you online?
I'm going to get one of those shirts. The CVS store does sell them.
I heard they sold out.
Well, I will have one regardless, because it's not like they're never going to come back in stock. But anyway, you can always find me flitting about at the Babel Conference on Facebook, which is our listeners group. And I am Brandywine12 on Twitter, which is Brandy with an I, wine, spelled in the traditional way, and the number 12. And I also have a podcast with my husband, Dave, which is called the Dark Corner Podcast, where we look at things in pop culture from and through a darker perspective / lens. And this last episode that we did was a music special, but we did also throw in 10 minutes of our appearance in a variety show, a live variety show, audio only, where we, in 10 minutes, reviewed all 10 Friday the 13th movies.
Oh my gosh.
Before doing the actual show, we had not gotten it under 10. And during the live show, if you want to hear me talk fast, go ahead and listen to that episode, because there's some fast talking. So the podcast is not for everyone. It does have adult themes and language, so keep that in mind. Although the actual review part was relatively clean, because there were teenagers in the audience, but still we were reviewing rated R movies. So there's certain things like we would do our favorite kill from each film as well at some point in the review. We had a good time. Anyway, that's where you will find me. Bruce, where are people going to find you?
They're going to find me yelling at my TV if the app doesn't work next week. But in the meantime, you can find me online on Twitter at Admiral_Rex. And you can find me with Dan Gunther doing literary treks here on Trek FM. And you can find me on StarWarsReport.com doing the Star Wars Report podcast with Riley Blanton and Mark Hurleman. And of course, I'm in the Babel Conference. And so Brandi, where's our closing notes? You want to read those to
I've
us?
got those right here ready to go.
You are so good at it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. So, everyone, please be sure to check out our Discovery coverage throughout the week because there is a ton of it. So, Live from the Edge, the show you are watching and or listening to right now, airs on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern and will be released as a podcast on Tuesday mornings. Our commentaries with Mike Schindler will be available as Tracks from the Edge on Wednesday. We will discuss your feedback on Postcards from the Edge on Thursday. Amy, I do not envy you this week. And you can catch full analysis on the Edge main show on Friday. But that's not all. To wrap up the week, join us for Notes from the Edge on Saturday with our own Chris Jones for links between Discovery and the broader franchise. You'll find all of these in the main feed for the Edge and in the Trek.fm master feed. So now we would like to hear your thoughts on Discovery. And the best place to do that is the Babel Conference, as we discussed earlier. It's our listeners group on Facebook. And there, Amy Nelson will collect your feedback for Postcards from the Edge. You can also find us on Twitter at TrekFM or send us email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and choose the Edge. We'd also like to thank our associate producers, who are the lovely Norman C. Lau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Palayo, Lisa Slack, Shoab Mirza, and our newest lovely associate producer, Richard Rutledge. So if you would like to help us keep all of our shows going and even become an associate producer, visit patreon.com/TrekFM for all the details.
That was wonderful. That was your best read ever.
Oh, I'm going to pull out something different every week now.
Especially when you get to the Edge.
The Edge. Yeah. I'm just going to do something different every week because otherwise, let's just make it as interesting as we possibly can.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yes. So everyone needs to tune in next week so we can hear what Brandi has up her sleeve for the closing. Right here on The Edge.
I'm going to practice different accents on y'all. No, I'm really not going to do that. Or am I?
I think you will. I can tell.
I'll read the whole thing in my New York accent. That'll go over great.
Hey, yeah, all you New Yorkers out here, you can judge her accent.
You totally can. And my mom's from the South, so I actually know how to do an Arkansas Southern accent. So sorry about that, Mom. I love you. Not that she's listening.
Hi, Brandi's mom.
Hi, Brandi's mom. I love you, Mom.
Most of the shows on Trek FM have a closing, and we still don't really have one. I mean, I came up with a stupid one. It was,
I don't think it's stupid. I like it.
Long and prosper. I mean,
yeah. I like it.
Do you want us to say that tonight?
Well, unless you have a better idea, which I doubt you do.
I don't know. Your mother might say the best thing to say is, y'all come back now here.
No, if we were doing it in the way that, say, my great aunt Lou would have, she would have been, you all need to come back on over here. You hear? But she said everything really slowly.
I can't think of a better ending than that.
All right, then. Well, I guess that's it. And we will see all of you next week for another Live from the Edge.
Yes. Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.